Welcome to the George Ballonee News Update. Tonight, doing my very first interview ever, with President Obama. Mr. President, thank you so much for being with us here today. Well, it's good to be here, George. I understand this is your first time interviewing anybody, right? Yes, that's right, Mr. President. Just a few short weeks ago I was just George Ballonee, aviation correspondent, whatever that means, explaining how a Cessna can end up in a living room. And now, you're George Ballonee, interviewing the president. That's America for you, right, George? I know. It's the craziest thing. Ever since that photograph surfaced, that B-25 on the moon, well, things have really picked up for me. But enough about me, I think I'm supposed to ask you some questions. Otherwise the first George Ballonee show could be my last. Okay, George, go ahead, interview me. Well, Mr. President, just a few short weeks ago you dismissed the notion of an old airplane wreck on the moon as silly and impossible. Now you want Congress to spend $452 trillion to rescue the crew. What changed your mind so fast? Let me start by saying that many ideas, when first proposed, seemed crazy and silly. I admit that when I first saw the photograph, I thought it might be a fake. I probably jumped the gun on this one, calling it silly. I should have listened to my advisors and not rushed to my own conclusions. What advisors, sir? All of them. My political advisors, my economic advisors, my military advisors, my wife, my kids, and the dog, all say, to the moon, baby. But why should we go to the moon again after all these years, Mr. President? And what if the picture isn't real? Well, my political advisors tell me to go because it's an election year and $452 trillion in building contracts alone would get me re-elected. My economic advisors say that it would single-handedly eliminate our debt and the need for tax increases. The military guys want their plane and crew recovered, and NASA never had a better reason to go to the moon and is all ready to build spacecraft and train astronauts. The scientific community say it will benefit science and the high-tech guys see it as a chance to outpace the rest of the world with new advanced technology. Now, George, you try telling all those people the photograph is a fake. Well, it's certainly looking more real to me all the time, Mr. President, and maybe it doesn't really matter if there is a B-25 on the moon, or not. We'll be right back with more from the president in just a moment. How am I doing, sir? Fine, George. Just fine.